Explain it to the public, because if you weren't able to explain it, the public wouldn't know. They'd believe what they see. So I don't want to win this way. Look, I want to win based on my policies are better. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to get interest rates down. You're going to be able to buy homes again. I mean, you can't buy a home today. The interest rates are so high. I want to win on safe borders. I want to stop wars. I want to stop the war in Ukraine with Russia. I want to stop what's happening in Israel. Israel would have never been attacked if I were president. Ukraine would have never, ever been attacked if I was president. You wouldn't have had inflation. Inflation was caused by high energy prices. I had low energy prices. I would have kept them there very easily. And it probably maybe caused the war with Ukraine, because Putin became rich all of a sudden. It went up so much, and I watched President Biden talking about Putin. Putin became very rich because at $100 a barrel, he's got so much money to fight a war. At $40 a barrel, he doesn't have the money to fight a war. But he wouldn't have done it anyway because I told him not to. So I
guarantee you what's getting ready to happen. I'm hearing rumors, 400, 500, 600,000 of these Palestinians in Gaza, we're going to fly them in here and make them citizens. That's the next thing.
You're making news here. Hit us with that again.
Well, think about it. They're not going to take them in.
Egypt not going to do it.
No, they're not going to take them in. Well, they know who they are.
Jordan says no thanks. We kicked them out. We kicked them out. No thanks.
The Saudis aren't going to take them. Nobody wants them. And so what's going to happen is old Joe, to win back his base, because a lot of them have gotten killed, said, okay, we'll bring in 500, 600, 700,000 of them. We'll fly them in. I mean, he doesn't even have to tell us he's doing it. Did he tell us about 325,000 he's flown in? No. They do things and don't tell you. And so they'll bring them in, like the ones that Obama brought into Minneapolis and Minnesota and, all the, was it Somalians, I think?
Somalia.
Yeah, brought all those people in.
We got Omar because of that.
Yeah, well, get ready. Here they come.
Okay, it feels important to say this. I am not pulling my perspective on Israel-Palestine out of my ass, okay? I'm not just guessing that Israel is committing a genocide against Palestine. I have studied and researched this. I have bona fides, and I will share them. First of all, I'm a Jewish woman. I was raised by a Zionist family. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. My family talks about our spirit of resistance and resilience constantly. Desiring goodness from the nation of Israel is in my blood, and still, I can see that this Zionist state is vicious, violent, and evil. If someone who is raised by a Zionist family, by people who believe that Israel has the right to exist and that it is our salvation, if I can overcome my pro-Israel bias and learn about this conflict, so can you. And frankly, I should not be calling it a conflict, it's a genocide. So when I was in college, around 2012, 2013, a bunch of my friends and loved ones started going on birthright trips. And I knew enough then to ask the question when they got back from their birthright trips, what about Palestine? And when these people I love, admire, and respect started talking about Palestinians and using language like terrorists, I knew I had to learn more. I also knew that I wanted to go on birthright, and I was nervous about being brainwashed by the trip, and I should have been nervous. So before I went on birthright, I decided at my small liberal arts school in Massachusetts to get a well-rounded perspective, educational perspective on Israeli-Palestinian politics. I took 4 courses: Suffering and Evil in the Jewish Tradition, the Jewish Experience, Middle East Politics, and Arab-Israeli Conflict. I also took international and comparative politics courses that often brought up Israel and Palestine in comparisons to, for example, apartheid South Africa. And by the time I finished my ample coursework on the subject before I went on birthright, I was already pro-Palestine. Because once you are in the literature, once you are in the research, not the media stories about this, not the pro-Zionist rigmarole on CNN and MSNBC, once you are in the literature and the data, this isn't a debate. This isn't a question. People talk about Israel-Palestine like it is incredibly complicated, and I reject that premise. It is not. We know that anti-Semitism exists globally, right? We know that Jews are not the most beloved population in the world. We know that Britain has a colonial history and they have taken on colonial projects even through the 20th and 21st centuries. Essentially, Britain already wanted to colonize Palestine. So did the United States. And at the end of World War II, Britain and the US got to talking and they thought, who do we want to exploit for military labor someplace that is surrounded by brown people so that we can rape and pillage land that we don't currently have access to? Where's one part of the globe we haven't effectively colonized yet? And there was Palestine. And Britain had been trying to colonize Palestine already. And so this was passed off to Jews who had just survived the Holocaust as a gift. Here we're granting you this parcel of land so that you and your progeny can exist in peace and not be violated anymore. Congratulations. Except that land already belonged to someone. Palestinians were already living there. And the US and Britain didn't give a shit about the well-being of Jews. They didn't care. This wasn't a gift for Jews. This was always intended to be a trap of, you do our military labor for us. We'll put you here and we'll grant you this parcel of land that already belongs to someone, that there are already people on. And in return, you will rape and pillage that land for us and we'll just all share in the wealth. And it might be a good idea too, if like your entire population were to, have conscripted military service so you can really defend that land that is yours, totally yours, bucko. And if you see who has emerged as the political leadership of Israel over the last few generations, this won't surprise you. This insidiousness will not surprise you. This is how you get Benjamin Netanyahu, someone who absolutely agrees to the premise of Israel as a Zionist ethno-nationalist state, who says, we are here for one thing and one thing only, is to garner as much wealth from this earth that we have, as much tourist property from this plot of land, convert it to dollars, and build up a military so mighty, a military apparatus so great that we wind up producing the world's weaponry. Yes, we have mined this land, and we have used the land to give you war machinery so that we can all murder each other 1,000 times over. And to the people already living here, well, we'll murder them too. I took basically a semester and a half of college courses on this, and I know in my bones that what Israel is doing right now is a genocide. It's evil. What they've been doing for the last 75 years is a genocide. It is drip violence, slow violence, protracted harm. It is meant to exhaust the civilian population of Palestine. It is meant to exhaust all Palestinians out of their will to fight. And all the benefit, the wealth garnered from that land goes to the primary stakeholders, not the Palestinian people to whom the land originally belonged.
Why don't Americans know what you have seen?
Americans don't want to know, and many Israelis don't want to know what is going on inside Palestine. It's a terrible human rights persecution that is far transcends what any outsider would imagine. And there are powerful political forces in America that prevents any objective analysis of the problem in the Holy Land. I think it's accurate to say that not a single member of Congress with whom I'm familiar would possibly speak out and call for Israel to withdraw to their legal boundaries or to publicize the plight of the Palestinians, or even to call publicly and repeatedly for good faith peace talks. There hadn't been a day of peace talks now in more than 7 years. So this is a taboo subject, and I would say that if any member of Congress did speak out, as I've just described, they would probably not be back into Congress the next term.
Well, I'm wearing now this pajamas that's supposed to symbolize the concentration camp and the people in the Holocaust who died of starvation, to say people are starving right now in Gaza. And as a Jewish person, I think it's important to recognize that the Israelis are doing to the people of Palestine, especially in Gaza, what was done to them, our people in the Holocaust.
We match your DNA against everybody who's been in any of my series. If you have long identical stretches, that means you're cousins.
Oh, I have some cousins?
Yep.
I hope it's a good athlete. What the hell? You're kidding. Oh my God. That is unbelievable. It's true?
It's true.
Oh, that's so funny. That is really funny. That is amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah. All right. Cousin Bernie.
Cousin Bernie.
Yeah.
People say to me, they talk about Larry David, And I say, he does a better Bernie Sanders than I do. Oh, my God.
Which I don't disagree with what Israel's doing. It's like they should just go in there and be like, you know what? We want our hostages back. If we don't have them back, clock starts now, in 24 hours, we're going to start bombing motherfuckers and killing civilians. 30, 40,000 a time. So you civilians better pack up and get these motherfuckers and you go against Hamas. You go against them. We're not playing games with you. But that's the only.
1967 war, Arab summit in Khartoum. You know what Ben Shapiro says in his video? First, there was the Arab summit at Khartoum, which rejected Israel, and then there was the 1967 war. It's like saying World War II came before World War I. He's a complete imbecile. You hear the prefix, Harvard Law School graduate, and everybody knows bedazzled by it. He doesn't have a clue what he's talking about when he talks about Israel-Palestine. He knows enough to know he knows nothing, and that's why he'll never debate me. The other one who's a moron is Jordan Peterson. You know, he's got nice hair plugs. I'll grant him that. These people, you know, it makes you, if you don't mind my saying so, with all due regard to you guys, it makes you despise men. The arrogance, the alpha, you know, what is it called? The alpha?
The alpha male, yeah.
The alpha male